When the defense loses a game, I get a million texts and tweets about how bad Robert Saleh is. The rest of the NFL is fighting over Robert Saleh. He's the most coveted head coaching candidate, and Niner fans want him to get fired. So what did Robert Saleh do wrong? First of all, if anyone in the comment section has a suggestion about what Robert Saleh should have done differently, I'd love to hear it. He tried playing zone, didn't work. He tried playing man, didn't work. He was in a tough spot. Now, I can say what I would have done differently than him. I understand where he's coming from, but if you can't get pressure with 4, you have to rush 5. And if you can't get pressure with 5, you have to rush 6. That's like one of the oldest cliches in football, right? You've all heard that. You can't just let the quarterback stand there. You can't let a quarterback complete 80% of his passes on you. You can't. If you blitz, you at least force him to make some lower percentage throws down the field. But the problem with blitzing, bringing 5 guys, is you really have to play man-to-man coverage. It's hard to bring extra rushers and play zone because you just have so much space in between the people playing zone. 6 guys in zone coverage, 5 guys in zone coverage is not enough. Zone blitzes usually overload one side while dropping defensive linemen into zones. So you still have a 4-man rush with 7 people in coverage. That's how zone blitzes work. Zone blitzes weren't going to be enough in this game. The Niners needed to rush 5 and 6 to get pressure, and they didn't. So I would blame Robert Saleh for that. You can't allow the quarterback to stand there and dice up zone coverage. Now, what Saleh would say, I'm guessing, is that, look, I gotta play to Richard Sherman's strengths. He can't cover man-to-man. Every time I went to man-to-man, they hit us with the crossing route, and he got burned. That's a fair answer. Richard Sherman really does stink in man-to-man coverage. And you saw as soon as he went out this year, the Niners defense changed. It became more of a man-to-man team. Emmanuel Mosley plays that much better than Sherman. They improved. Not just because their man-to-man coverage was so dominant, but they could do both. They could disguise one as the other. And all of a sudden, quarterbacks were confused. Did Josh Allen look confused in this game? Hell freaking no. So what I would say to Robert Saleh is stop propping up Richard Sherman. Call what works for your defense, not what works for Richard Sherman. Because while he's chilling there on the left boundary, not getting any work, the rest of your defense is getting torched up the seams. Jason Verrett, even worse than Richard Sherman. Verrett was pretty good when they could play man cover some of the time, but when they know he's in zone every time, he's not built for that. He's a small little guy. He's built for man-to-man coverage. So Sherman either, you could say, limits what Robert Saleh covers. That's what Saleh would most likely would say. Hey, look, my hands are tied. I got Richard Sherman. What do you want me to do? What I would say is, dude, stop propping him up. Call what's best for the whole defense. And if Richard Sherman gets burned, that's one guy. He'll live with it. I almost wonder if Saleh protects Sherman so much because Sherman lobbies for him to get a head coaching job. Like, are you afraid that Sherman is going to talk bad about you in the press if you hang him out to dry in man-to-man coverage? Well, then Sherman has this defense like at gunpoint. You know, he's got it. And he can do whatever he wants. He's dictating what you call. You can't let that happen. So it'll be interesting next week. I don't anticipate the Niners winning any more games that Dante Johnson has to play. My God. How many games has he lost for them throughout the years? I mean, geez. So they're not going to win any more games with Dante Johnson. If Emmanuel Mosley comes back next week, that's a different defense. It's a different issue. It'll be interesting to see what the Niners do with Richard Sherman down the line. He should be fine against Alex Smith and Andy Dalton the next 2 weeks. The issue is going to be against Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. Because again, if you just play zone defense, then the Niners aren't going to be able to cover DK Metcalf and DeAndre Hopkins. So it'll be interesting to see what Saleh does. It seemed like there was no right answer. And honestly, if he had blitzed a bunch, the Niners probably would have got torched too. It's like, how do you want to get beat? Do you want to get beat giving up 80% completions and a bunch of dinks and dunks? Or do you want to get beat with a bunch of throws down the field? Pick. And if they had blitzed a bunch, maybe that's what would have happened. They just would have got torched down the field. with Richard Sherman in man-to-man coverage. Richard Sherman wasn't really giving Saleh a lot of – let's talk about Sherman. I mean, we already are. But when he called man-to-man coverage, Richard Sherman, like, mugged a guy, grabbed him, and negated an interception. That's how bad Richard Sherman is in man-to-man coverage. He'll just grab. He'll hang on. Like, hey, you got me. I can't cover that route. I'll take the penalty. Better than giving up the 50-yard touchdown and being on SportsCenter or whatever. So it's hard to win with Richard Sherman and Dante Johnson on the field. And Jason Verrett. This is what happens when you neglect cornerback. The Niners are built to play zone defense. That's 7 deep, 7 in coverage, 4 rushing. That means you got to have the best 4-man pass rush in the league. Niners don't have that. When you have good corners, you don't have to have an elite pass rush. You can blitz. That's the word. You can freaking blitz. All right. So Saleh, not as bad as you guys think, but could have done better. There was no adjustment. The adjustment should have been to blitz his ass. Talk about Josh Allen. Can't let him sit there and complete 80% of his passes. Can't let him do it. Robert, don't you let Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray do that down the stretch.